We're going to be covering 1.7 and 1.8. Okay, 1.7. Let's see what page. I don't know. 109? Okay, 1.7 starts at 109. And that's giving you the properties. And I'll give you an easy way to remember the properties, okay? 1.7 is the properties. Okay. Let's start with identity properties. Okay, if you don't lose your identity, that means you're still you, right? Identity? No. Identity. How's that? Identity. Okay, so no matter what happens, if you don't let something change you and you're still you, you didn't lose your identity. Okay, a number, if you do something to it and it's still the same number, that's your identity property. What happens when you multiply by 1? It stays the same, right? So when you multiply by 1, that's your identity. Let me see if I can spell it right this time. Identity property of multiplication. Okay? And what could you add to a number that wouldn't change it? 0. Adding 0 to a number is your identity property of addition. Okay. Now there's some more properties, associative, commutative, and people get these confused all the time. I'm going to try to tell you something that will help you remember it easier, okay? Let's say if you're driving to work, have you heard it called commuting to work? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Okay, think of that for the commutative. C-O-M-M-U-T-A-T-I-V-E. Commutative. Commuting. Okay, if somebody commutes from Albuquerque to Bernalillo, they're traveling as far as somebody commuting from Bernalillo to Albuquerque. The A plus B equals B plus A. If you go from here to there, the same as there to here. Somebody commuting from Grants to Milan travels as far as somebody going from Milan to Grants. That's commuting, just turning it around. So this is the commutative property of addition. I'm just going to put C-O-M-M. Commutative property of addition. Okay. Then you have a commutative property of multiplication. And when they're touching, that's multiplied, so you could just say AB equals BA. You're just turning it around. That's commutative property of multiplication. Okay. Now, how about the associative? What do you do when you associate? You talk to people, visit with them, you walk into a room, hug somebody because you know them. It's kind of going out of style, but I'm not letting it go out of style. I still hug everybody. Okay, the associative properties. Let's say that Al is in the room, and Bert walks in, and he hugs Al. Off to the side, Cookie Monster's watching him, and he gives Bert a funny look. So Bert turns around and hugs Cookie Monster. See the parentheses are like a hug? See, Al and Bert were hugging. Now Bert and Cookie Monster are hugging. You See, the order is still the same, A, B, C, A, B, C. It doesn't change the order, it just changes who you're hugging, who's in the parentheses. So this is the associative property of addition, right? See, it's all addition. You can do the same thing with multiplication, which means that you can add these first and then add that. And you'll get the same answer as if you add the B and C and then you add A. That's what the associative is telling you. You can add them in any order. If it's all addition, add it in any order. If it's all multiplication, you can multiply it in any order. So your multiplication will be AB with the parenthesis, C on the outside, and then A in the parentheses around BC, still in the same order. So these are your associative properties of addition and associative property of multiplication. Okay, let me see if there's any other. Oh, there's a distributive. I don't, yeah, that's in here too. The distributive law is where you have a number on the outside and you distribute it through the parentheses. Okay, you have, like A is going to be on the outside of the parentheses. Inside, if you have B plus C, when you distribute it, see how the A is touching, that's multiplied? You're going to multiply the A times both of the things in the parentheses. Okay, this is the distributive property over addition, because there's addition right there. Okay, so you have the A times B, so you put AB. The sign in here, you put after your AB. So you have AB plus A times C. So AB plus AC. Okay, the distributive property over subtraction, it looks the same, but you have a minus in your parentheses and you'll have a minus where there was a plus. So you'll have AB minus AC. So this is your distributive property over subtraction. Okay, that's all the properties. There's one more thing you need to cover in 1.7, and that would be factoring. To factor. Okay, let's say you have 15x plus 5. Okay, what does the 15x and 5 have in common as a factor? Yeah, what will divide into them? The 5 is what they have in common. You're going to put the 5 on the outside of the parentheses. You don't close the parentheses till you're done working. Okay, now if you divide this by 5, you have 3 and you still have the x. And then plus 1. Just because this is the same, you don't leave it off. You have to go ahead and have the 1 right here. So that when you distribute it, where you multiply the 5 through, the 5 times 3x, you'll get the 15, yeah, you'll get the original back. That'll give you 15x plus 5 times 1 is 5. Okay, we'll do some more factoring. How about if we have 13x plus 26? What do they have in common? 13. So you put the 13 on the outside of the parenthesis.
X,
Divide by 13, you have
X,
1x or x. You can put the 1, but you don't have to.
plus 2.
Plus, divide this by 13, you have 2. You could do it if there's 3 or 4 things too, as long as they all have that same thing in common. Let's say you have 12x plus, let's put x squared. 12x squared plus 6x plus 3. What do all 3 of those have in common?
3.
The 3. Okay, so you put the 3 on the outside. You're going to divide each one of these by 3 to get what goes inside. 12x squared divided by 3, 4x squared, plus 2x plus 1. If there's 3 terms here, you're going to have 3 terms in your parentheses after you factor. Okay, I think that's everything. They do have some fraction ones. You want to do a fraction one also? We'll do a fraction one. Just so when you hit it, you won't be like, oh no! Okay, let's do one where we have 1/5 x plus 2/5 x. Oh, this is adding x, huh? I should have not put the x on the second one, huh? Because we're factoring. Because this would be like 3/5. 1/5 plus 2/5 is 3/5. Yeah, to factor it, let's have it where one of them doesn't have an x. I'm sorry. Okay, to factor that, what would we put on the outside? What do they have in common?
5.
The 5 on the bottom, so 1/5. Okay, we're going to factor out 1/5. Okay, 1/5. What would you multiply to get this? Just the x, right? Plus, what would you do 1/5 times to get 2/5? Times it by 2. Yeah. If you times it by 2, then you get 2/5. That way, when you multiply this back, you have 1/5 times x is 1/5 x. Plus 1/5 times 2 is 2/5. So I didn't put it under it like I did on these other ones because it would look funny to put like 1/5 under it. So I think you only have a couple of those with the fractions on them, and they're not real hard. This one right here will help you just by having that in your notes. How about combining like terms? The way I had this before with the x's after it, let's go ahead and do one like that. Well, if we had like 1/5 x plus 2/5 x plus just the 3. If you were combining the things that were alike, there's 2 things that have x on them. So you combine the 1/5 plus the 2/5. Combine this part, so it gives you 3/5 x. And the 3 you can't combine with it. Okay, we're not factoring, we're just combining like terms now. Okay. Say you have a string of numbers like 8x minus 5x plus 6 plus 3y minus 2y minus 4. That's actually number 120. Okay, the ones that are alike, you can combine them. So you have some x's, those are alike. You have some y's, those are alike. And then you have numbers that don't have letters, so you'll be able to combine them together. Okay? So let's do them in X, Y, Z order, like A, B, C order. X comes before Y, so we'll combine this one first. 8x minus 5x, 3x. And then Y, 3y minus 2y. 1y, and positive, right? Plus 1y, or you can just put plus y. If it's 1, you don't have to put the 1. And then 6 and the negative 4.
That's 2.
That's 6 minus 4 is 2. It's positive, right? Positive 2. And that's as far as you can go. Don't try to combine things that have a different variable after them. Okay, that's all of 1.7. We'll go to 1.8 now. Simplifying expressions and order of operations. Okay, simplifying expressions. We were kind of simplifying stuff when we were adding like terms. Simplifying expressions. Let's see what they want you to simplify. Okay, they have problems with the negative on the outside of your parentheses. If you have a negative 3x plus 2, okay, to simplify that or find an equivalent expression for that, you're going to do it just like you were, you know, when you had a number on the outside and you distributed it through, you're going to distribute that minus through there. You're going to say minus 3x or a negative 3x and then minus 2. What it actually did is it changed both sides. Okay? So let's do one that has like 3 terms inside there. So it has a negative 2x plus 3y minus 1. Okay. You could do it real quick by just changing all the signs. Just cover this up and go, okay, this is going to be positive 2x. We have minus 3y, and this will change to a positive 1. It's easier than going minus negative is plus, minus, like that. If you could do it like this, let me show you. You could change it to plus, the opposite, 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 like that. Make sure you change every side. Okay? So that gives you your 2x minus 3y and plus 1. That way you don't, like when you're doing a problem, you don't have to go to another line just to simplify this. You could do it on that line by changing it and changing the sign inside your parentheses. So if you had like 2y minus negative 3y plus 5x plus 4. Instead of rewriting it down here, you could go ahead and change this to plus positive 3y and a negative 5x and a negative 4. That'll save you one line on your work. So now you have 2y plus 3y is 5y, and then a minus 5x. We'll put the minus 5x in front of here, put it in X, Y, Z order, A, B, C order, and then the minus 4 at the end. The books won't always have it in X, Y, Z order, but it almost always will. That's like the proper way of doing it. Okay, let's do another one, like, let's have negative 8x plus 6y minus 4 minus if you used a whole nother line to do it, you would just take the parentheses off of this, because there's no minus here. Nothing in here changes. So you could rewrite that without the parentheses, and then rewrite this, or you can just do the simple, change the minus to adding, and change every sign in the parentheses. There's too many people that make mistakes when there's a minus in the front. They forget to take it all the way through. So this is the best way to keep from making that mistake, okay? Now you have a negative 8x minus 3x. Negative 8 minus 3, negative 11. And then we'll do the y's, positive 6 and a negative 2, positive 4, y, and then negative 6 and a negative 4, negative 10, minus 10. Okay? Now if there's a number with the minus out there, you will really actually need to use another row. Let me show you one that has it like that. If we have like 12a plus 6b minus 3, and say you have a number out here in front of it, and we'll have a, b, and c, or a, b, and number in here. 4a minus 5b plus 2. Okay, let's go ahead and use the next row. Rewrite this without parentheses. 12a plus 6b minus 3. Okay, you actually need to distribute this one. You can't just change all the signs because it's got the number there. You have to do the number times every one of them. I'll tell you right now, this is the part most people forget, that this is like multiplying a negative 3, not just the 3. You have to multiply the negative and the 3 times everything in the parentheses. Okay, negative 3 times 4a. And minus 12a. Okay, negative 3 times negative 5b. Positive 15, and then the b. Okay, the negative 3 times positive 2. Minus 6. Okay, now go ahead and combine your like terms, the a's, b's, and c's. 12a minus 12a. Okay, you don't even need to write an a there. If it was 1, you would write a. If it's 0a, don't even write the a. You can just cancel it out like that. That's 0. Okay, 6b plus 15b. 21b. And then negative 3, negative 6. Minus 9. And that's as far as you have to go. It's a lot simpler than what you started out with, right? That's why it's called simplifying expressions. They end up smaller. Okay, let's do some harder ones that have parentheses and brackets and a big old long line of stuff. Because you have 34, 35, 36, 37, they have a lot of parentheses and brackets in them. So we'll do one, let's do number 37. It's even got little squiggle lines on it. Every one of those brackets, parentheses, the squiggly lines, those are all just grouping symbols. They're all just like parentheses. You just work your way out. Okay, 37. You have a 3, and then that squiggle, whatever you want to call it. Then it has a bracket, 7, parenthesis, x minus 2, parenthesis, plus 4, minus bracket, 2, parenthesis, 2x minus 5, parenthesis, plus 6, bracket, and then a squiggle. Okay, the parentheses will be the first thing you do on the inside. You do parentheses, then you work your way out to the bracket. Okay, we need the end of this bracket. I think I forgot to put it, after the 4 I forgot to put it. You need the end of the bracket there, because you can't have a beginning and then another beginning. Okay, so you work from the parentheses out to the bracket. You can go ahead and come around behind here. And then on this one, you're going to do your parentheses. Do everything inside here, out to the bracket. After you've done both brackets, then we're going to subtract what they simplify to. Then we'll subtract them. And that will finish off everything inside here. We'll have everything in the brackets minus these brackets. And then it'll be like one parenthesis right there. It'll simplify down to one thing, or two things, because there's X's and numbers. There'll be two things in here with the 3 on the outside. So let's go ahead and start working it now. We're just going to do the parentheses inside. Okay, right now, the parentheses, you can't really do x minus 2, but we can distribute the 7, right? We're going to distribute the 7 through in this one, and in this one, we're going to distribute our 2 through. Okay, so this one, let's leave our 3 in our squiggle and the bracket. Now we're going to distribute 7. 7x is the first part. You put the minus because it's the sign there, and then 7 times 2 is 14. And then you just bring plus 4 down. The 7 doesn't get multiplied over there, just times just the stuff inside the parentheses. Okay, in the bracket, leave your minus sign, and start another bracket. The 2 multiplies through the parentheses, 2 times 2, you have 4x. Then we have the sign, minus. 2 times 5 is 10. Now we're done getting rid of that parentheses, we just bring the 6 down in our bracket and put the end of the squiggle. Okay, inside the brackets, what can we simplify inside here?
Negative 14.
Right, we can combine the number parts, right? And on this one, the same thing, right? We can combine the numbers here. Okay, so let's leave the 3 on the outside. You always rewrite the whole thing. That way you don't forget it somewhere. Okay, leave our bracket. 7x doesn't combine with anything. Negative 14 plus 4. Negative 10. Okay, we still have our bracket there. Minus. 4x doesn't combine with anything, so we leave the 4x. Minus 10 and positive 6. Negative 4, right. Minus 4, negative 4. They're the same thing. Okay. Now, we can go ahead and take the brackets off, but you don't want to take them off until you've done what here? We need to do the minus through here. You can write another line, or you could say plus the opposite and opposite. I'm going to go ahead and write the other line in case there's people that don't want to put the plus here. I'll go ahead and just write this next line. This I'm going to take out of the bracket. This one will be minus 4x. This one will be minus negative is plus 4. Okay. Actually, these could now be turned to parentheses because you only need the squiggles if you have brackets and parentheses inside. But we could leave them. It doesn't matter if you leave them or change them. Okay, inside here, what can we simplify?
10 minus 4.
Yeah. The numbers we can combine and the x's we can combine, right? You can simplify by adding like terms. We could have done 3 times every one of them, but that would have made it harder to combine them. It's easier to combine them in here first. 7x minus 4x is 3x. And then you have the 10 and the negative 10, positive 4. -6. Okay, I'm gonna put parentheses. Put that 3 back on the outside. Okay, now all we have to do is, which law is it called when you multiply through? Distributive law. This is the distributive law over subtraction. Okay, we're going to distribute the 3 through. 3 times 3x, 9x, minus 3 times 6, 18. And that's as simple as you can get. Don't combine the x and the number. That's a lot simpler than what we started with, right? And you'll get to do that about 4 times in your homework. Aren't you excited? It sounds like fun to me. But then I like math, so whatever. Okay, there's one more thing, the order of operations. Okay? The order of operations. Remember the words that go with the order of operations?
Please excuse my grant.
Yeah, that one. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I told my kids to please excuse my dear Aunt Shirley. And my sister's name is Shirley. I have an Aunt Shirley. But that's okay. You can have Aunt Sally. Okay. P is parentheses, right? P is your parentheses. E is your exponents. And what's the opposite of a square? Square root. This is your exponents and your square roots. Okay? The M and D stand for
Multiplication and division.
multiply and divide. And do not always do multiply before divide. These two I have them underlined because they have the same power. Sometimes you'll divide before multiply, sometimes you multiply before divide. Because you do these from left to right. Okay? A lot of people mess up because they'll put this down and they'll say, oh, well, I have to multiply before divide. But don't do that. You do these in order from left to right. Okay? The A and S stand for
Addition.
add and subtract. And what's the rule on those?
Same as small.
Same, left to right. You don't do all the adding and then subtracting. You go left to right once you get all add and subtract left. Okay? This is probably one of the most miscalculated things in math. A lot of people mess up on the problems that have order operations. So if you want to practice even more than the problems I gave you, you'll just be doing yourself a favor. You want to do like extra odd ones and look it up in the back, pat yourself in the back when you get it right. You'll do better from now on in math. This is something you really, really need a lot of practice on. When I give you a test, I can almost guarantee you most of the missed problems will be on our order of operations. Okay, so let's make sure that we get some. I'll do some of them with you, and you can do only the ones that are required and optional, or you can even do more if you want. I'm not going to give you extra credit for doing more. That's for your own good if you want to, okay? I'm just telling you this is something that people miss a lot of, okay? Okay, let's do some of them. You want to just start with the hard one right off the bat? Let's just start with the big hard one. Let's jump over onto page 129. We'll do one of the longer ones. Let's see. Even 128 has some that are a little bit long. Let's do, let me see, one that's like 51, but you have to do number 51. So let's do, what looks hard to you?
51.
51, but it's one of yours. I'll do one like 51. How about if I make one up? Yeah, we'll do one like 51. This is not 51, but it's like 51.
How about
Okay.
you do 51 now? At least one right.
It's in the back of the book, so you can do it till you get it right. And you can use this as an example of what order to do it in.
Yeah, but it just has the answer.
It has the answer, but you can follow these steps. I'll have the same kind of things in it, okay?
Different numbers.
Different numbers, right. Okay, so we're gonna have 7 to the third power instead of 5 to the third power, okay? Plus, we'll have a multiplication here. I'll actually do a simpler one than what they did. 13 times 15. Theirs is harder, it's 26 times 71. Okay, and then a subtraction in front of a parentheses. Let's say 14 plus, and then a multiplication in there. Let's say 25 times 4. Okay, that's like 51, it has all the same operations, okay? It's just different numbers. Okay, the first thing is their parentheses. Remember, this is the first thing you do. Inside the parentheses, you also have to follow your order of operations, okay? Inside the parentheses, don't just go left to right. See if there's parentheses, there's not parentheses inside the parentheses. Are there exponents in here? No. Multiply, divide. There is a multiply. Do that before you add and subtract. Okay, so 25 times 4 is 100. And have the plus 14 written in front of it. Rewrite all this stuff. Okay, actually, we've got that parentheses done. Well, pretty much. Let's go ahead and rewrite this. 7 to the third. Let's go ahead and finish doing this parentheses. 14 plus 100 is 114, right? Okay, we don't have a parentheses anymore. Okay, since we don't have a parentheses, the next thing will be exponents. Let's go ahead and simplify the 7 to the third power. That means 7 times 7 times 7, right?
343.
So that's 49 times 7. 343?
Yes.
Okay, now are we just going to go left to right now?
No.
No, we still have, after this, make sure there's no multiplies and divides before you add and subtract. We still have a multiply, 13 times 15. 100 what?
95.
195. Rewrite everything. And now left to right. The add is before the subtract, but even if this had been subtract, you would have done it first, okay? If you go left to right on add and subtract now. So 343 plus 195. 538 minus 114. 424. So you'll get down to one number. So if you do it in the same order as this, you should be able to get 51. You can check in the back of the book, make sure you get it right, and you'll get it right. And then you can pat yourself on the back. Say, woo, I did the one that I thought was so hard. You want one like 52 also? We'll do one like 52. Okay, we'll say 6 to the third power plus 10 times 30 plus 9 squared minus 24. Okay, there's no parentheses. Let me put the order of operations back up here. Okay, there's no parentheses. The exponents. We can actually go ahead and do both of these in the same step here. 6 times 6 times 6, 216. And then let's rewrite this part till we get to the next one. Plus 10 times 30 plus 9 squared is 9 times 9, 81, minus 24. Okay, there's no parentheses. Exponents are square roots. Now we multiply and divide. So there's only one of those. 10 times 30, you put 30 with another 0. So it's 300. Rewrite everything. Should look like a tornado coming down, getting skinnier every time. 216 plus 300. 516. 516 plus 81. Underline the part you do every time. 516 plus 81 is 597. And then subtract 24. 573. And then you have one number. See how the how it looks like a tornado comes down? And number 75 has one that has the minus on the outside. We'll do one like number 75 also. It's a simple one, but we'll go ahead and do one like it anyway. Okay. What you'll want to do is probably go ahead and distribute that. Or you could do the parentheses first. Or so you would have 7 minus, what's 3 minus 5? Negative 2. Minus negative 2, same as plus 2. So 7 plus 2 would be 9. So number 75, that shouldn't be too hard. Okay, and that's the end of the chapter. Don't forget to get your key terms from page 131. There's a page number next to them. You have to write these in your portfolio, and don't just write variable page 56. Okay? Go to page 56 and write the sentence or definition that gives you. If there's a sentence with the word in the middle, just write that sentence and highlight or underline the word variable. You don't have to write the word variable twice if you don't want to. You can just write that sentence and underline that word. That's the first one. Then constant, find where that is, write that sentence or definition. Okay? You can highlight or underline where it is in there if you'd like to. And your properties here, don't forget to put those in there too. Make sure all the key terms and properties and the key terms on top and the properties. You should have portfolio requirements. Okay, you should have the revised syllabus that says the test is on the 16th. Even if we have a snow day, I've told you the test will be on the 16th, even if we don't have a review. Okay, your portfolio requirements. It says the 14th, but it's really the 16th. You get points for having your binder dividers, for having your syllabus in there, your daily sheet that says you're here, punctual, daily quizzes. Make sure you have that sheet in there. The grade sheet, your grade recording sheet that you're writing your grades on, those should all be behind the syllabus section. Okay. Summary vocabulary, make sure you have your terms in your properties. From page 131, what we just showed you, make sure they're written out, not copied. I also want you to have the chart from page 58. The chart that has the phrases that mean divide, add, subtract, all that, make sure that chart's in there. Make sure the chart for the algebraic expressions is in there. That's how much points they're worth. If you don't want to write them, you're going to be giving up that many points towards your portfolio. You have notes. Just show me that you're taking them. I don't have to see that they're in, some people are going to have 20, 30 pages of notes. Some people have 2 or 3, according to what you write down. That's what you need. I just see that you're doing it. Make sure you have some kind of flashcards done. show me what you got for flashcards, some that you made or some that you bought. And you don't have to have every single kind. You don't have to have add, subtract, multiply, and divide. If you already know all that and you did the squares, you know where you do 11 squared, 12 squared, 13 squared, whatever, as long as you have cards to use for the daily quizzes. You're going to have, in your homework section, you're going to have the diagnostic test we were given and all your homework. And it says which ones that you have to do on this in your syllabus. The extra credit, if you do all 74 problems, you'll get 10 points extra on your test. If you only get, 37 or so, you're only going to get 5 points. But if you do any of them, make sure and turn them in the day of the test. You can't do extra credit after the test. It's only good the day of the test. But even if you retake the test, the extra credit counts on your retake also. Is there any questions on the homework or anything to do with the portfolio or test? No questions? Okay.